Well, hello everyone and happy Wednesday. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the 4, the live stream where I talk about 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching Before the 4 today, whether that is on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, as always, thank you so much for watching and spending just a little bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. Now first, let's take a look at what we're seeing on the radar today. A beautiful week, but strong storms are expected to be coming in as we head into the weekend. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis gives us a look at the latest forecast. What's happening, Brad?
Go through the afternoon, no big problems out there. And this evening looks pretty nice too. It's tomorrow. We've got a round of scattered showers, a few thunderstorms, mainly looking at some smaller hail, gusty winds and lightning. But for this afternoon, it's a little hazy. We've had some smoke in the air. There's also pollen in the air. It just doesn't look so pretty out there. We'll wash that all out though with the strong to severe storms coming our way this Saturday. Current temperatures mid to upper 70s, just where we forecast. And over the next 12 hours, in fact, a fairly warm night tonight. Light south wind around 5 miles per hour. Over the next 3 days, 70 Thursday, scattered showers and storms. I'll get to those in just a second. Then 80, strong gusty winds, probably a wind advisory for gusts over 30. Chance of rain by 9 o'clock, but a better chance after midnight. Strong to severe storms, multiple rounds, and I can't stress this enough. It's just going to be a very long period here. Friday night after midnight all the way through Saturday at 10 o'clock in the evening. Stay tuned for updates. High resolution model guidance coming in, and we have a lot better idea on the timing and hopefully answer those questions you have regarding that over the next 24 hours. Here's tomorrow morning around 8, 9 o'clock. We start to see these isolated thunderstorms become a little more scattered as the day wears on. Right before the lunch hour, locally heavy rain, probably pea to dime size hail with the stronger of the storms. And you notice they just kind of keep on popping up. This is because of the nature of the storm system. It's an upper level area low pressure, so everything kind of tracks to the northwest and then back to the south around that area low pressure. By 5 o'clock, we start to see things winding down in Fort Payne, and then we should clear out in time for the lunar eclipse tomorrow night. And then all eyes are on the threat for severe weather. The highest potential here is going to be 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday, but there is a potential for thunderstorms with tornadoes. Again, those brief spin-up tornadoes overnight, Friday night into Saturday morning. I'll have the latest on this coming up.
Well, heading out to the Shoals, a double murder trial we've been covering all week finally has a verdict. Kevin Deloney was found not guilty earlier today. Deloney was accused in the 2017 shooting deaths of Jimmy Boulding and James Madden in North Cortland. The two were found by a family member at Boulding's home on Rosa Parks Lane. Investigators argued that he shot and killed the two while he was committing theft of property. Deloney's defense attorney, however, argued that Deloney's DNA is in the Alabama State database, so if it were his blood, there would have been a match. The defense added that there was no actual evidence at the crime scene that puts Deloney there. Deloney is now a free man after being held at the Lawrence County Jail for 8 years. And 48's Faith Delp has been covering this trial all week. She'll have more coming up in our evening newscasts. And now a Huntsville man was sentenced to life today for murdering a man 2 years ago. Jason Moore, who you're seeing on screen, was accused of gunning down Damian Collins Sr. on Blue Haven Drive back in April of 2023. Investigators say argument led up to the deadly shooting. A neighbor who heard loud bangs at the time of the shooting later found Collins Sr. lying on the ground in blood. Collins Sr. was 40 years old. The defense is planning to appeal the court's decision today, and we'll be sure to keep you updated as soon as we learn more. But now in Albertville, a person was transported to the hospital after being shot at an Exxon gas station this morning. Albertville Police Chief J.T. Carty confirmed the shooting happened at the location on Highway 431 South. Carty says officers responded to a gunshot victim at the gas station. The victim was transported by helicopter to Huntsville Hospital. Their condition is unknown at this time, but officials on scene say the victim and the suspect, who is now in custody, knew each other. We'll have more on this coming up in our evening newscast.
Presently, we're looking into it to just see what happened. For Albertville, it's strange because we don't have that many shootings here.
And that was JT Carty right there. And again, we'll update you as soon as we learn more. But now heading out to Madison County, where a former sheriff's office employee accused of arson was arrested, according to officials. And let me pull up a photo of her right now. 31-year-old Taryn Reeves, that's who you see on screen. She was booked into the Madison County Jail yesterday afternoon. Officials with the sheriff's office says Reeves is no longer an employee with the sheriff's office. She was arrested for first-degree arson. This is all the information we have on this incident at this time, but again, we'll be sure to update you as soon as we learn more. And now, a former Limestone correctional officer will plead guilty to federal bribery charges. Court filings we found show the former guard admits to taking more than $10,000 in bribes from another guard to smuggle contraband into the prison in Harvest. 48's Liz Hurley has the story.
John Paul Ketteman's signed plea agreement shows that he took those bribes through a Cash App in 2022. The plea agreement shows another former guard who's also facing federal charges paid Ketteman $10,680 over a little less than 3 months in 2022. Ketteman and Alex Andrews, who was charged in the bribery and contraband scheme last week, were among 4 correctional officers at the prison in Harvest who were arrested in November of 2022. Court records show Andrews is accused of receiving money from an unnamed inmate and his family members to smuggle contraband into the prison and to act as a lookout. Ketteman's plea agreement shows he warned inmates about upcoming inspections between 5 to 10 times during September and October of 2022. Ketteman now faces prison time and a fine for his admitted crimes. The government is recommending a prison sentence on the low end of the sentencing guidelines because of his cooperation. A hearing date has not yet been set. Liz Hurley, WAFF 48 News.
In Fort Payne yesterday, a judge declared a mistrial in the murder case of a Grove Oak man accused of shooting and killing his neighbor, Gregory Bagwell. During the trial, the defense upheld its stand your ground argument, stating that the suspect believed Bagwell was armed, which led up to the shooting. 48 Savannah Sapp with the latest.
After a week of trial and 3 days of jury deliberations, the judge declared a mistrial in Keith Sullivan's murder case. Sullivan is accused of murdering his neighbor, Gregory Bagwell, 2 years ago, but he says that shooting was in self-defense. Keith Sullivan says his neighbor, Gregory Bagwell, was behaving violently in the hours leading up to the shooting and had even had the police called on him earlier that day. When Bagwell showed up on Sullivan's porch and turned suddenly, he says he had no choice but to defend himself and his family. District Attorney Summer Summerford argued during trial that Bagwell was trying to leave when he was shot. She also pointed out that Bagwell was shot 7 times, a few of those shots happening when he had already fallen to the ground. She says she will not be dropping the charges despite Tuesday's mistrial. Sullivan's daughter, Grania Sullivan, says she doesn't believe the outcome will change.
No matter how many times you retry it, it's going to be the same hung jury, mistrial, deadlocked answers. I don't think it's ever going to change.
Defense attorney Nick Sparks agrees, saying the deadlocked jury shows the state cannot prove Sullivan did anything other than protect himself.
Burden's on them. They didn't meet it, or else Keith would have been convicted. Keith is innocent. This was an absolutely extreme set of circumstances, and this is a tragedy, but it's not murder, it's not manslaughter.
Grania Sullivan says she hoped the jury would simply find her father not guilty. She hopes this next jury will do so, saying she knows her dad's heart.
I know who he is. He protected me and my family. I wouldn't have changed anything or had it any other way.
The district attorney's office issued a statement saying deciding whether a defendant is guilty of murder is not a task to take lightly. They thank the jury for their time and attention. A tentative second trial has been set for October of later this year. Reporting in Fort Payne, I'm Savannah Sapp, 48 News, on your side.
And a little bit of breaking news for you all. This video is not vertical at the moment, or it is a vertical photo, but our video, we have an ongoing fire happening at the Eastbrook Apartments here in Huntsville. We are sending a crew to the scene right now. We will have more on this situation coming up in our evening newscast, but a breaking news story right there. But now, coming up after the break, it has now been 5 years since COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic. Astronauts stuck at the International Space Station now one step closer to returning home. The latest on tariffs and a story you're just not going to want to miss. It's all ahead. I'll see you all in 1 minute. Well, hello and welcome back to Before the Four. Well, it has now been 5 years since COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization. And just let that sink in, 5 years. And today, of course, the world is no longer in crisis mode and COVID-19 deaths have dropped significantly. However, for some, the effects of the pandemic still linger, not just in memories, but in how they view modern medicine. WBRC's James Giles in Birmingham reports.
The sights and sounds of Railroad Park at sunset, birds chirping, feet hitting the pavement as joggers make their way down the path, people simply enjoying the little things in life. Things many never thought could be taken away until COVID-19 turned the world upside down.
I was having nightly cytokine storms, which means chills, fevers, headache, shortness of breath. And there was nothing that I could do besides aspirin or ibuprofen to control my symptoms.
Tuesday marks 5 years since the World Health Organization declared COVID a global pandemic, a time that feels like a lifetime ago for some.
It was crazy to experience, like, once I get older and I have kids, I'll be able to tell them, like, I lived through a pandemic.
Take Reginald Jones and Sophia Davis, both starting college at the beginning of the pandemic, but virtual learning just wasn't for them.
I didn't feel like I was really learning. I was kind of excited to get more hands-on, especially for the field that I was trying to study. It just seemed like a waste of time. That kind of pushed me to go ahead and drop out.
I stopped going to classes just because I'm not a very good online learner, so it really just kind of changed the trajectory of my life in a way.
UAB professor of medicine Dr. Michael Sagg, who had COVID early on in the pandemic, says while so much has changed, one thing remains the same: mistrust in modern medicine.
And what I fear at the present time is that mistrust has put us in an awful position should another pandemic happen next week or next month or next year.
And for some, that mistrust still lingers today.
I don't want to put nothing into me that may potentially harm me.
I didn't feel like it would be a threat to me. I won't say I trusted it, but I mean, I still got COVID like a month after I got the vaccine, so.
And coming up in our evening newscast, 48's Callie Neese is speaking with local businesses here in the Tennessee Valley on who were impacted by the pandemic 5 years ago. But now in national news, astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, whose 10-day mission to space has turned into 9 months, are one step closer to coming home as NASA and SpaceX prepare to launch a rocket to the International Space Station this evening. NBC's Tom Costello was at the Kennedy Space Center this morning with the latest on the Crew 10 launch.
Arriving in Florida, NASA SpaceX Crew 10 preparing to launch to the space station on a 6-month rotation.
We've been working a long time to be ready for launch, and we are very, very excited to be here.
A mission that will also allow Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore to come home 9 months after leaving Earth. It was last June 5th when Sonny and Butch launched on a brand new Boeing Starliner spaceship for a 10-day mission. But Starliner soon developed helium leaks and engine thruster problems. Worried that Starliner wasn't safe, NASA ordered Wilmore and Williams to stay on the station. Starliner came home empty, but only after a SpaceX Crew 9 ship arrived on station with just 2 crew members. Williams and Wilmore then joined Crew 9 for a 6-month stay on station. Sonny soon took over as space station commander, and they both carried out a critical 5.5-hour spacewalk to repair a radio communications unit. That spacewalk, Williams' 9th overall, puts her in the record books for the most time spent in the vacuum of space by a woman. Now, 9 months later, they still insist they're not angry and they don't feel NASA abandoned them.
We came up prepared to stay long, even though we planned to stay short. That's what we do in human spaceflight.
Only 5 NASA astronauts have ever spent more consecutive days in orbit than Sonny and Butch. The hardest part, says Sonny, is the impact on their families back on Earth.
It's been a roller coaster for them, probably a little bit more so than for us, to not know exactly when we're coming back.
We are just feel fortunate and thankful, though, that we have seats. And we'll be coming home, riding the plasma, splashing down in the ocean.
Now, with Crew 10 preparing to launch, Sonny and Butch are preparing to come home.
Honestly, I'm kind of most looking forward to breaking bread with those guys, talking to them, giving them big hugs.
I'm sure they are, absolutely. And I'm sure they're very much ready to get back home, without a doubt. But now, staying in national news, overnight, another round of President Trump's tariffs went into effect, this time on all steel and aluminum imports. At one point, the president threatening to double the 25% tariff on Canada after a leader there announced plans to tax electricity supplied to several U.S. states. NBC's Garrett Hake has more from the White House.
This morning, a drastic change to the Department of Education. The Trump administration planning to cut the staff of the agency in half. DOE workers ordered to stay home today, with some 1,300 career employees expected to be terminated. The new education secretary says the president's ultimate goal is to shut down the agency, but that would require an act of Congress.
What we did today was to take the first step of eliminating what I think is bureaucratic bloat.
The Department of Education says it serves over 50 million students across the country. Its staff working on programs from student loans to anti-discrimination laws and campus safety. The head of the advocacy group, the National Education Association, saying, quote, "The real victims will be our most vulnerable students." It comes as President Trump made a show of support for the head of his administration's cost-cutting program, Tesla's CEO Elon Musk. The president displaying Teslas on the White House South Lawn as the company's stock struggles during the general market turmoil this week, with investors still concerned about a possible recession, which the president shrugged off yesterday.
I don't see it at all. I think this country is going to boom.
And overnight, Trump putting in place promised 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from around the world.
We've been ripped off for years by other countries.
Most of the United States imported steel, and nearly all of its aluminum comes from Canada. The two countries avoided more escalation yesterday after Trump threatened heavier tariffs after a Canadian politician briefly taxed electricity in 3 U.S. states, both sides eventually backing down.
Let's work together. Cooler heads have to prevail here.
The tariffs weighing heavily on many businesses, like D.C.'s Right Proper Brewing Company, which gets aluminum beer cans from Canada.
How much does any small disruption potentially throw you guys off?
It could be massive. Roughly, if we were to incur a 25% increase in that cost, it would be about over $40,000. for us, which is the cost of an employee.
Well, today is Wednesday, and that means the St. Patrick's Day Parade here in Huntsville is just 3 days away. And for 48 years now, the parade has been a beloved tradition here in Huntsville. And it was all started by Finnegan's Pub owner, Ellen McNally. Take a listen to what organizers Sonny Herford and Lisa Bollinger had to say about what to expect this Saturday, beginning at 11 a.m. He went out to the parade, and we saw a guy dressed in shamrock attire. He was on a penny farthing bicycle. Please tell me he's coming back this year.
So that's so funny. That's one of our great stories.
Okay.
5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer now, he was literally just looking for something to do. He's not from here. He's from Tennessee, and he lives kind of near Nashville. He looked up Nashville. They don't have a parade, and then he's like, "Oh, look, the great thing with the internet." He looked and he's like, "Oh, there's a parade in Huntsville," and he literally just showed up. Like, we didn't know he was coming. He showed up, and Ellen's thing is, all people can be in the parade. There's a spot for the people. So he joined in line and was in the parade, and he came up to us afterwards. He says, "I'm going to be at everyone from now on." So he will be here again. He's here every year, and that's how it happened. He just showed up one year because he wanted to do something, and yeah, he's great.
That is awesome.
Yeah, last year he let there was a lacrosse team in the parade, and he let some of the guys try it when we were waiting before the parade started and stuff. So yeah, he's a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to have to go this year. I'm not working this year,
good.
so I'm going to have to see it for myself. But I remember seeing that, and I was like, dang, why am I at work right now? I want to be at the parade.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that come out for the parade, especially in the downtown square area. It's packed with people.
Right.
So it's a really good time.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely rooting for the weather to hold off just in time to get the parade in 100%. Gotta go this Saturday to the Ellen McNally St. Patrick's Day Parade. It's never been rained out in 48 years, and I'm still knocking on wood after saying that, but awesome event there. You're going to want to check that out without a doubt. And make sure you wear green. You got to have the festive shamrock attire on. You got to go all out 100%. But now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. Locals here in the Tennessee Valley impacted by the education cuts we're seeing. 48's Noah Cowell with that story coming up. Another story you're just not going to want to miss, $73 million coming to a local aerospace company here in Huntsville. Get those details. And finally, applications are now open to become an ambassador at Alabama State Parks. Get all those details coming up, and these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. And it is that time. We have a new question today. Of course, it is, what superpower would be most useful in everyday life? That is the 48 Facebook question of the day. And I really want to know what you all had to say. In my opinion, I think the most useful everyday life superpower, this might not necessarily be the one I would want the most, but I think teleportation. Honestly, that would be the most useful because I could be at my apartment and I could wake up and say, all right, time to go to work, and then just teleport straight to work without getting in a car. Just instantly I'm there at work or anywhere I need to go would be the most useful. Would not have to wait in traffic, would not have to I could just instantly be there. That would be incredible. But let's see what you all had to say. Kimberly said super energy so we can make it through the day 100%. Just being able to muster up a bunch of energy without consuming caffeine or anything like that. That would be incredible. Very useful skill there. Thank you, Kimberly. Catherine said super speed. That kind of goes along with teleportation, like the Flash. I could be there in 1 second. Very useful skill there. Thank you, Catherine. Christian said super strength, so my feet and back wouldn't hurt. Aw, that is, I'm so sorry your feet and back are hurting, Christian, but yes, that would be a very, Very great skill to have, super strength. I hope your back and feet get to feeling better 100%. Thank you for commenting, Christian. Lee said teleportation. Now, Lee knows what I'm talking about. That would be in my opinion, the most useful skill. And then let's see. Michelle said to change the weather 100%. That might even be more useful than teleportation, honestly. Yeah, I wouldn't have to worry about the St. Patrick's Day parade potentially being impacted by the weather, because I could just say sunny and 75 all the time. That would be incredible. Michelle, thank you so much. And everyone who commented on today's 48 Facebook question of the day, thank you so much for commenting. Well, that is just about it for today's Before the Four. But I want to thank you all for watching and spending just a bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 Digital app, the 48 First Alert Weather app, and the 48 Sport Zone app. Turn on those push notifications and you will never miss a breaking news story. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed tonight's evening newscast. Do something fun tonight, and thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.